Are you thinking about moving to Rogers, Arkansas, and you're wondering what is so special about Rogers? Well, my friend, in today's video, I'm going to break that down for you. Why is Rogers so special, and why are so many people calling it home? My friend, if we haven't had the chance to meet, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Anthony Mosley, and I'm a real estate broker here in Benton County, Arkansas. And I help people just like you, after presenting them the facts, decide, is Northwest Arkansas, is Rogers, going to be the next best place for you to call home? We're going to touch base on topics like, why is Rogers unique? Traffic, cost of living, the future growth, what entertainment options are there? And of course, I'll wrap it up at the end to help maybe give you a quick snapshot guide as to why Rogers, Arkansas is so special. A lot of people think the Northwest Arkansas is all one and the same. That's not the case, my friend. Rogers is not Bentonville, and Rogers is definitely not Fayetteville. A little geography lesson for you. In Northwest Arkansas, we have Benton and Washington County. Many people loop in Madison County with those other two as well, but Benton and Washington County are the two primary counties that make up Northwest Arkansas. Rogers, Arkansas is located in Benton County, right smack dab in the middle, located off of Highway 49, which basically cuts Northwest Arkansas in half. Rogers is primarily located on the west side of Beaver Lake, which is Northwest Arkansas's largest lake. According to our friends over at World Population Review, Rogers' population is right around 76,500, which is less than Fayetteville, but a little bit more than corporate Bentonville just up the street. In case you're wondering, Fayetteville's right around 106,000 and Bentonville's right around 62,000. Rogers is going to feel a little more modern suburban without the corporate lifestyle of Bentonville. Of course, there's going to be some certain vendors in the CPG, the Consumer Packaged Goods Company, that have offices over in the Pinnacle Hills area and not as student-driven like you might see down in Fayetteville. One thing you might consider as you're doing your research, you may say, hey, you know what, we've narrowed it down, not just from Northwest Arkansas, but we've narrowed it down also. We've scooped out Washington County. So I'm also doing a lot of comparison from Rogers to Bentonville, Siloam Springs, as well as Bella Vista, Pea Ridge, because Rogers and all of those previous mentioned cities, besides Springdale and Fayetteville, are inside of Benton County. I've said it in multiple videos before, and I'm going to say it again here in this video, is I believe that Rogers has more going for it than any other city in Northwest Arkansas. Earlier, we had mentioned Beaver Lake, which is the largest lake of all lakes in Northwest Arkansas. Of course, if you look up into Bella Vista has 7 lakes, but 4 of those lakes are non-wake lakes. And of the 3 lakes that are wake lakes, they can get pretty crowded. Beaver Lake can get crowded, certainly on holidays like 4th of July, and many weekends throughout the summer, but if you want to get lost on a lake with miles and miles of shoreline, Beaver Lake in Rogers is the way to go. Rogers is the closest largest city to Beaver Lake than any other Northwest Arkansas city. Yes, Lowell, yes, Avoca, and Garfield, and those other cities are definitely right there along the shoreline of Beaver Lake, but Fayetteville, Springdale, Bella Vista, Bentonville, Centerton, those are all farther away from the lake than Rogers. In regards to trails, of course, Bentonville claims the mountain biking capital of the world, but did you know that there's miles and miles of single track trails out in Rogers also? Lake Atalanta has miles of single track trails. Out at the Karst Loop and Hobbs State Park, there's multiple miles of single track trails there also. And for good measure, let's not forget the Rail Yard Bike Park. Speaking of Hobbs State Park, it's the only city in Northwest Arkansas that has a state park right in it. Hobbs State Park, what a beautiful place for you and your family to go check out nature, do some nature walks, check out their indoor facility with more information about the area. Rogers is one of only 2 cities in Northwest Arkansas to where they have an aquatic center. Prairie Grove Aquatic Center down in Prairie Grove certainly has their own slides and splash pad area, but Rogers Aquatic Center, located off of New Hope Road, has multiple slides, diving boards, swimming pools, lazy river. It's a much larger facility than you'll find anywhere in Northwest Arkansas. Again, Bentonville has Lawrence Plaza, Fayetteville and Springdale, as well as Siloam Springs and Gravette, all have a splash pad type area, but not as cool. I want to say Siloam Springs has a slide or two, but obviously not that memorable. Continuing on, Arkansas Music Pavilion is located in Rogers. It's locally known as the AMP. Features mainline comedians like Matt Rife and Nate Bargatze. I have to say, earlier this year, I did go to the Nate Bargatze comedian show as a wonderful birthday gift from my loving wife, who had supporting cast like John Christ and Derek Stroop. Derek Stroop had me rolling. Of course, major headlining musicians like the Google Dolls, Jason Aldean, Blink-182, Luke Bryant. Each and every year, the Arkansas Music Pavilion, the AMP, brings back mainstream music artists like Foreigner or Willie Nelson. You're not going to see that really anywhere else in Northwest Arkansas. Maybe down at the Walden Arts Center, you might see some really cool shows there like Blue Man Group, Or perhaps up in Bentonville, you might see a Fresh Grass Festival or something going on there. But as far as main line, hear them on the radio all the time, you're going to hear that at the AMP. Right across the parking lot from the AMP is Northwest Arkansas's only Topgolf facility. Topgolf, if you did or did not know, it's kind of a driving range on steroids. You can go in there, of course, increase your driving game, or you can bring birthday parties or friends groups or corporate parties and go there and have fun having a meal, hitting golf balls while playing a game trying to collect points. Yes, Gravit has the Spanish treasure caves, but did you know that there's actually the War Eagle Mill and War Eagle Caverns over in Rogers? Rogers is one of 3 cities that have caves in them, and you might be going, 3 cities? Well, wait a second. Devil's Den State Park is not in Fayetteville. Old Spanish Treasure Caves is in Gravit, and Wonderland Cave is up in Bella Vista, but Bella Vista, Wonderland Cave, to my knowledge, is privately owned. Maybe it's going to open someday with some different features, but over on the east side of Rogers, all the way out past Prairie Creek and Beaver Lake, are the War Eagle Caverns. You can take a tour with them. My family and I've done it. It's actually really cool. Speaking of War Eagle Craft Festival happens in Rogers each year, where hundreds and hundreds of different vendors come each and every year. I believe over 70 years now, to feature their crafts and creations. Rogers is the only city in Northwest Arkansas that has a professional soccer team. Ozark United FC is located in Rogers, Arkansas. Of course, they're building the stadium here soon, over by Pinnacle Hills Promenade, which brings us to another feature that Rogers has over any other city in Northwest Arkansas. There is a promenade, a mall, a place that you can go shopping to get clothes, shoes, jewelry. There's a movie theater there. You know I love movie theaters, but the Pinnacle Hills Promenade is a shopping center unlike any that we have anywhere else in Northwest Arkansas. Like Fayetteville, which has a Whole Foods, Rogers is getting a Whole Foods. If you're looking for more chain-type restaurants like Chili's, Chuy's, Torchy's, Olive Garden, you can certainly find those towards the Pinnacle Hills area, and of course there's local favorites also like Mirabella's Table. And of course we got to mention the first ever Walmart was open. Yes, the headquarters are over in Bentonville, but the first ever Walmart doors were open in 1962 in Rogers. Next, one of my favorite sections is neighborhoods and housing, rightly so as a real estate broker. In my opinion, Rogers, Arkansas features a wider variety of homes, from starter homes, condos, townhomes, duplexes, all the way up to luxury real estate on the lake, country club lifestyle with Shadow Valley and Pinnacle Country Club. So in my opinion, the best mix of luxury, suburban, and lake properties in all of Northwest Arkansas. Yes, you can get lake properties and golf course community up in Bella Vista, but not as much of those luxury properties, again, as you might find in Rogers. Rogers has a wider breadth of homes than you'll see anywhere else in Northwest Arkansas. Let's go ahead and feature the Pinnacle Hills area for a second. You've got neighborhoods like Champion Estates, as well as Shadow Valley, both of them in Bentonville School District, but located in Rogers city limits. Out by the east side, out by the lake, of course, you could have Lakeshore. You could have properties that are on the lakeshore with a boat slip, multiple millions of dollars of property with multiple acres, or you could be somewhere maybe closer to Old Town Rogers, off the historic brick streets, to where we're seeing a lot of growth and development in that area, with people buying homes, remodeling them and fixing them and selling. Or they're buying the property and scraping the house and then building something new. The downtown area of Rogers, in my opinion, is where downtown Bentonville was maybe 10 to 15 years ago. Bentonville and Centerton, when it comes to housing, Bentonville's gonna have more of a mix when it comes to higher density housing, like Rogers might have, but Centerton and Bentonville both cornfield neighborhoods, right? In fact, I used to live on a hayfield. It used to be an old hayfield. Now there's a neighborhood there. Rogers neighborhoods, you can certainly live in a hayfield type neighborhood in Rogers, but Rogers out by the lake's gonna have more mature trees. Jobs and economy. Rogers being located right off of Business 71, you can shoot all the way down to Lowell, Springdale, or Fayetteville if you're working for a major employer in those areas. Or if you're living in Rogers and want to shoot up to Sam's Club or Walmart home office, you're in Rogers going to work in Bentonville, but not living in Bentonville and going to work in Bentonville. If you're moving to the area and considering Fayetteville, but you're working at maybe Walmart or one of the vendors, it's going to be easier for you to get to work by living in Rogers than it would be, say, Springdale or Fayetteville, or even further down the road. Maybe even better than Pea Ridge or Bella Vista, depending on where you're coming from. Compared to Bella Vista, Rogers has more exits off of the highway. Same with Johnson, same with Springdale. Rogers has 4 or 5 exits, kind of lays over with Bentonville because Walnut exit right there both serves Bentonville to the west and Rogers to the east. Fayetteville also has 4 or 5 exits. All of those cities just previously mentioned had access to the Razorback Greenway, which might help in your morning commute. It's possible that maybe you want to ride your bike to work. Rogers is the economic runner-up to Bentonville, but definitely a cheaper cost of living than it is there in Bentonville. And with neighborhoods and housing, let's loop in the cost of living, because one of your major purchases in your cost of living, if you're looking to move here, is the average house price. In regards to comparison to Bentonville, Rogers homes on average for the last 6 months are nearly $100,000 cheaper, more cost effective, however you want to say that, than it is in Bentonville. However, Rogers is more expensive than Bella Vista, is more expensive than Fayetteville and Springdale both. Rogers is going to be less restrictive than, say, Bella Vista. Bella Vista, the entire city, is a property owners association. Last on neighborhoods and housing, I did some research, and in the last 6 months, now of course this might not be the case over time, and there might have been some big lots that sold, but Rogers has, on average, larger lot size than Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville, Bella Vista, all within the last 6 months. Rogers at 0.97 acres. I'll go ahead and throw up a chart. Here's the rest of the cities, with Fayetteville being the closest at 0.9 acres on average. This is, again, houses within the last 6 months in Northwest Arkansas. I didn't look at Silo Springs. I didn't look at Gentry or Pea Ridge. Of course, there's some big plots of land out there also, but we're starting to get further away, so it all depends on what's important to you when finding housing. In regards to future growth of Northwest Arkansas, let's go regional, then bring it in. Northwest Arkansas Council says that we're going to have nearly 1 million people living in Northwest Arkansas within the next 25 years. Currently, we're right around that 550,000, maybe closer to that 600,000 mark, with Rogers' population attributing for just over 10% of that. Bella Vista, Pea Ridge, Centerton, towns like Farmington and Prairie Grove are all growing by leaps and bounds in regards to new residential construction. Rogers certainly has new construction also in both commercial and residential. Just look here off of the Pinnacle Hills exit, where we've shot in previous videos. You can see that there's cranes that are putting up buildings here in the Pinnacle Hills area of Rogers. New restaurants, shops, coffee shops, commercial buildings, housing development, hotels. Rogers is growing by leaps and bounds, my friend, and it's not stopping. There's no doubt, though, with all of the growth that's happening in Northwest Arkansas, and specifically Rogers, that there's infrastructure issues that need to be addressed. Now let's look at the cons. Where is Rogers not better than? We've kind of sprinkled a few of those in throughout this video, but looking at Bentonville, Rogers is not as artsy as Bentonville. Bentonville has 8 museums, whereas Rogers only has 2. Definitely when you move to Rogers, visit all the museums in the whole area, but one you have to check out is the Daisy Airgun Museum in downtown Rogers. Daisy Outdoor Products moved from Plymouth, Michigan to Rogers, Arkansas. I believe they moved their manufacturing plant there in the late 50s. Really cool book on it. You could read all about it. Rogers is not as walkable or as strollable, rollable as you might see in Fayetteville, which has more of a downtown, cooler, funky feel. Keep Fayetteville funky, right? Locals will get that. Trails are improving in Rogers, but not, again, as many trails miles-wise as you would find in Bella Vista. And of course, Bentonville being the mountain biking capital of the world again, Bentonville has Rogers beat when it comes to trails. Rogers can feel more suburban corporate and not as secluded and quiet as you will find up the street in Bella Vista. The final verdict, you might be asking, well, Rogers is a town for people that are looking for lake life, concerts, restaurants, big homes, and with more acreage as we found in our research. Rogers is a town for people who want access to Bentonville jobs, but not at Bentonville prices. Rogers is a town for people who want both either a suburban and or a luxury lifestyle. Last but not least, if you want the most entertainment, the most things to do, with the widest variety of housing and affordability, check out Rogers, Arkansas. My friend, it's always a pleasure to put this information together for you, and now you know a little bit more about what life is like in around Bentonville and Rogers. Thanks for watching.